let's take a look at what's been happening in the influencer boxing world. So yesterday, as you guys saw, I essentially just had a little back and forth with one Mams Taylor over the issues that I saw with what was going on with the terminology around the KSI and Slim fight and why it wasn't happening. I had some issues with the terminology. Now, this quote isn't the entire quote. If you want to see the entire quote, and I kind of broke the whole thing down with Sensei, you can go check that out on the breakdown. But we had our back and forth because I didn't like the verbiage here. Protecting Slim from potentially getting knocked the hell out. Weight classes for a reason. JJ, X amount of weight classes bigger. A lot of it is stretching to make a point that you don't either want to say or don't have the gumption to say, which is they don't think that Slim deserves that fight, which is fine. KSI has no reason to fight Slim if he has other fights that are bigger to them available. Cool. I just didn't like that they were, you know what I'm saying, trying to go around, hey, no. That's what you think, just say that. We had our deal, our back and forth, da-da-da. Your boy cooked, massive W. It is what it is, right? So then today, you have this come out. KSI couldn't box eggs if he worked in an egg boxing factory. He said, I've enjoyed the honor. Again, not a big fan of putting the U in the word honor, but I know you guys are from the UK, so I'll let it slip. Of being the Misfits Cruiserweight Champion immensely. We'll come back to that in a second. I have other plans in the pipeline, and it wouldn't be fair for me to hold the title any longer, so I am relinquishing the belts, and a new champion will be crowned on the next Survivor tag. So, couple things here. Again, I know that when I speak, the first three things that come out of people's mouths are glizzy, goblin, glazing, wanting attention. One. Number two, W.A.D.E, haterade, bitch made is what it is. Number three, W.A.D.E, bias, don't try us, got the Midas touch. Those are the things that people say. So I want to preface this by saying, numero uno. I don't mind it. In fact, I think this is probably the best idea for JJ. Him fighting for belts at this point makes no sense to me because he's bigger than the belts. And the fact that he had a belt for so long was confusing to me because it never represented anything. That belt was to be defended by influencers or whoever, right? So I never understood if JJ's not going to defend the belt, why he even has it. If we're not going to do the influencers getting the opportunity to come up and fight JJ for said belt, then why does he even have it? And I didn't even know this. Completely forgot this. But this belt was being advertised for the Tommy Fury fight. So he fights at a weight that isn't really cruiserweight. Holds the belt at the weight he doesn't fight at. And the belt was supposed to be on the line in the Tommy Fury fight. He loses, but he's still the champion. And maybe it wasn't after this because I didn't see Tommy being like holding it up or nothing. I don't know. I don't know if Tommy even cares about it. I don't care about the belt. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's not the point I'm trying to make. He's relinquishing a belt to go and fight big fights. I'm okay with this. I like this. It doesn't make sense, like I said, for JJ to hold on to any belt. He wants to go and fight other fights that aren't Slim or any of the guys coming up for the belt. Then cool. This is why I like this move. I think it should have been done a long time ago. I just want to know who's the best. If we're at a similar weight, who's the best? The KSI is now removing himself from the competitive architecture of Misfits to go and do specialty fights. The big plans, though, for KSI. Let's play a little bit of the guessing game, right? Let's play a bit of the guessing game because I'm going to do some in-depth research here. That's right. I roll my R's. Because your boy was watching the small council meeting.
There's other people out there who you can't talk about in this conversation who may or may not happen, right? Then you've got Jake Paul. You've got Tommy Fury. Outside of those two names, there's no demand. Like, Jake Paul's fighting with no demand right now. No one gives a shit who Jake Paul is fighting. You could announce the guy on the morning of the fight. No one cares. They're happy to watch Jake Paul knock another guy out. That's cool, right? So,
to some extent, but their numbers are far lower and the money is much less.
Yeah, I hear that. I'm just suggesting that really, unless it's Jake Paul or Tommy Fury, I don't think anyone is really, like, they're always just going to be turning up for KSI. And I guess at least one thing I could say in favor for Slim is that KSI fighting someone is always a risk. It can always go wrong. At least if he loses to Slim, for example, just suspend reality, it's feeding back into the ecosystem of Misfits. But I think if KSI's next fight isn't Jake Paul or Tommy Fury, I think Slim's a solid option, or another Misfits guy is a solid option.
Brian, I would say that I think you might be, underestimating some fan bases too, because something that makes a lot of the
Oh, hey Riley, good to see you, man. The beard is looking fantastic. I missed the Nashville nights out with you, brother. Look at the coiffed hair. I like the skinny Tyson Fury poster in the back. Before you get going, I just wanted to tell you that. Miss you, brother. But sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I know it's my first time here, and I get told all the time that I interrupt Face Sensei on my channel, so still getting used to the small council. I don't really know a lot about anything small. Kind of a bigger guy, you know, all areas. But sorry, keep going.
You know, the Tyron Woodley fight, the initial one at least, or even the Ben Askren fight. I mean, something that made that big was, you know, the MMA audience and the traditional boxing space is still an enormous audience. I mean, if you put KSI in there against, you know, a Masvidal or, you know, even like a Cowboy Cerrone, that's just pulling a name out of a hat. I think that there's like an enormous audience that would.
Did anybody else see it? Again, Riley, don't mean to interrupt. You're fantastic. Did anybody else see it? Let's run it back while Mams is V-triggering himself. Let's run it back.
Audience. I mean, if you put KSI in there against, you know, a Masvidal or, you know, even like a Cow.
Why are you looking at the screen like that? Why are you looking at the screen like that, Mams Taylor? Sorry, I'm going to look at you right here, directly ask you the question while you're scratching your chinny chin chin. Why are you looking at the screen like that when Masvidal's name's brought up? Could it be that KSI is actually about to fight Jorge Masvidal? And if it is, how much would you guys want to see it? Because listen, maybe it's just me, but this reaction from Mams is different.
I mean, if you put KSI in there against, you know, a Masvidal or
Masvidal. Now watch the pearly gates open up. Watch the twinkling in your father's eye.
Or, you know, even like a Cowboy Cerrone, that's just pulling a name out of a hat. I think.
Whoa! When we get the double take, we get the double. Little look off to the side with it. This man's poker face would have him bounced before the World Series of Poker even started. I think that we may be onto something, because not only are we talking Masvidal because, yes, he's retired, but because apparently from his kind of cryptic tweets, he may have an out with the UFC and being able to fight outside of the UFC. He may be able to fight outside of the UFC, unretired, on January 1, 2024. I think that this is something they probably could have. I didn't think so for a long time because of the issues with the retired fighters and still having fights left on their contract with the UFC. But Dana, when he's felt the need, or when he's felt, I guess, the lack of a need to keep a certain person under contract, did it with Askren, has done it with Tyron Woodley. When he feels these guys are no longer, actually, I think Tyron was done free agent. When he feels these guys are no longer valuable to the company, or they're not going to net him any profit, he will allow them to fight outside of their contractual obligation with the UFC, even in retirement. So what I'm telling you guys is this is a real possibility. This also brings up another question. And you know what? I'm going to have to ask Mams. I'm going to have to ask Mams himself. Excuse me. Sorry. Hey, I just wanted to interrupt once again. Mams, sorry. I keep looking the wrong way because, you know what I'm saying, I can go both ways with it. Hey, yo. Mams, I want to know just quickly, and I have no issue with this. I think the Masvidal fight would be fun. Got the Scarface vibe. I get all that. But aren't you the same guy that got upset with Jake fighting older MMA fighters? I'm just wondering, because it feels like that whole thing that everybody was complaining about, not that it was a wrong move if you're trying to get the Jake fight, but now if it comes back full circular, I feel like that's not going to be a good look. I'm just telling you because I have a feeling. I'm seeing into the future, okay? Seeing in. All-seeing eye. I bought these glasses for a reason. I'm just saying, when I look into the future, to me it looks like that might be an issue. Because all I heard around the Jake Anderson Silva fight, the Jake Tyron Woodley fights, the Jake Nate Diaz fight, which I think, by the way, weren't you guys also trying to get for KSI at one point, was that Jake's only fighting old MMA fighters. Fair criticism if that's not a route you're going to go. But if you go that route, not going to be a good look. But quell those fires. It's still a fun fight. I'm interested.
There's like an enormous audience that would also be able to tune in for that and keep the, you know, professional aspect of it. You know, that being said, I mean,
the only reason
I somehow rendered everyone speechless at the push of my voice.
Sorry, mate. The only reason I haven't included those guys is, as far as I'm aware, Masvidal and Cerrone still under contract. Like, I don't know if we could.
I don't know about Cerrone. I don't know about Cerrone having any fights left on his deal.
Do Masvidal? I think that'd be fucking amazing. I think that'll be a hell of a fight. But outside of someone like that, yeah, I mean, maybe.
Leon, don't give me.
Those are the kind of options, and we do have a good enough relationship to make those fights happen.
Relationship, huh?
Those kinds of fights.
Masvidal would be sick.
Slim doesn't have the ability to sell this fight, but the community does, because the storyline is actually pretty good. All right.
Look, let's say
who was talking. Continue. I know, man. The pause meter is crazy right now.
Slim loses this fight badly. Yeah. I feel like, and I'm not, again, anything can happen, and I realize that. The upside if Slim wins, this is where I take my personal feelings out of it. Obviously, like I don't see a world where that happens, but let's take that out. And
man, it's kind of crazy you being the promoter saying all that, but all right.
My biases towards KSI out of the picture. Of course, that would be great for the Misfits ecosystem. Now Slim is the guy if he does that, right?
True.
But it's far more likely, again, not being biased, it's probably quite a bit more likely that it goes the other way. And that stops the Slim train and the potential fight, the super fight that makes sense for Slim, which would be against the now retired Gibb if he decides to come out.
Makes sense.
When someone says they're retired in any combat sports, I take it with a pinch of salt unless they're over 45, 50. And even then,
Okay, so Gibb being retired is not really being retired, so we could have included him on the pound-for-pound ranking list as well. Okay, I've gotten what I need here. So let's get Gibb back in the scene. Let's get Gibb versus Slim if that's what they want to do. If Slim is going to continue to call for KSI, I'm not going to be upset at that because I don't care about the belts. I care about the biggest fights. And if they're working on KSI Masvidal, do that, which... To me, that looked like a terrible poker face from Mams Taylor. He had the side eye. He had the little, I don't know about that, maybe. Okay, let me look here. I don't know. I like the fight, but just be prepared for all the chickens coming home to roost. That may happen, but it doesn't mean that's the bad fight. In fact, I could say that's a massive fight, and I would be super excited for it. I think the community would as well. If that's what they're going to do, cool, but... That's just my... I don't have the answers for what the big fight is because I don't think Misfits does yet. There's options. We'll see. Is it Masvidal? Is it Cowboy Cerrone, which would be super out of left field? Is it Darren Till? Please don't do Darren Till. Is it Conor McGregor? I highly doubt it because he has a fight this year in the UFC. Still under contract, still active. But apparently there's big fights. Jake apparently isn't one of them. Even though it seems like KSI wants to move up in weight. Why isn't that the one? I don't know. I don't have those answers. I truly... want to see the best for KSI, for Slim, for the scene. I'm critical because I need to be. And without this kind of criticism, without this kind of critiquing, without these kind of points being brought up, the scene will not go further. You can call me a hater, you can call me those things, but I truly want the best. And my way of doing that is trying to be as transparent as I can. You don't like that? Don't give a fuck. I'll see you guys next time. So we don't have those answers for who the opponents are for JJ, who it's going to be for Slim, but apparently this year, guess we'll find out.